I have one final
Would
question.
he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the
falls.
oil
By
industry?
the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. To the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. We have to move toward a net zero emissions. First place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production. By 2050 total.
So that clip you just watched was Joe Biden in 2020 debating against Donald Trump. The topic of that specific question was in relation to the changes that Joe Biden would make as president to the oil industry and his ability to stop the track that we were on as a nation. He said that he would transform the oil field industry more towards renewable energy, and it's very honorable. It's one of the reasons why I voted for him. Let me show you this now. This one was from 4 months ago.
Get out the vote now. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling. That was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done. Thank you.
November 6th, 2022, still on the same track, still standing strong, still very big on this net zero emissions goal. In the time of American history that we are in, it really seems possible that, if a president really came in and wanted to affect change, that they could do that if they just put their pedal to the metal, disregarded, the corporate dollars that come in, the private donations that come in, the lobbyists that try to make things happen behind closed doors. If you just said no to all that and wanted to affect real change, that is something you could do or make progress on or put us on the right track on. And then you have this video from 5 days ago.
President Biden is facing swift backlash from environmentalists over his approval of a massive oil drilling project in Alaska. Now, it's a major reversal after he promised no more drilling on federal lands while on the campaign trail in 2020.
Instead, the approval of the multi-billion-dollar Willow project will allow oil giant ConocoPhillips to operate 3 drill sites on federal lands in Alaska's North Slope. The Interior Department says this plan blocks ConocoPhillips' initial plan of also drilling in 2 other spots. But that's not stopping criticism from within the Democratic Party. We will suffer the consequences of this for decades.
And that's the key thing, that we will suffer the consequences of this for decades. The approval of this drilling, I'm not the only person to be talking about it. People have made a lot of noise on TikTok and around the internet because of how hypocritical this is from President Biden. It's disappointing. It's a 30-year plan to get over 600 million barrels of oil. When you look at the time that he was being elected as president, there was legitimate hope from people. There was a very consequential time in our country's history. He was making a lot of bold claims about the things that he was going to be able to accomplish as president. A lot of that rubbed me the right way, because for me, the whole climate change thing, it's a little frustrating because I could see one side's point of view, how they look at, like, what are we really doing to affect the climate? It's really these giant corporations and the mega wealthy that are flying on their private jets and these industries that produce all this pollution into the air. That is what the real problem is. But we like to sugarcoat it and say that we should use paper straws and recycle, which is a good thing. But in comparison, it's hilarious that the people that are telling us to do these things to help the environment in the name of doing the right thing for the earth, the mega corporations that are causing all the pollution are the ones that are supplying the money into their pockets and giving them their ad dollars and allowing them to do their business. So it's very hypocritical. So I understand that. But the effects of climate change are very real. You can see it. They're very tangible. I don't need to go through the specific details in this video. There are other ones, people way smarter than me, that go into the specific details on the effects that we have as a race on the environment. And so when Biden was running for president, him saying that there would be no more drilling on federal lands, period, no matter what, is a very hopeful thing, because a lot of the professionals, a lot of the scientists, a lot of the people that have been doing this their whole lives, they're saying that time is running up. Time is running up for us to change the path, to change the trajectory of us killing the earth. Biden makes the claim that we would not do this drilling, And we're just over 2 years into his presidency, and here we are, not only doing oil drilling project on federal land, but a 30-year oil drilling project that completely offsets the semi-progress that his administration has been able to make as far as what we're doing for the climate. I've been trying to think about like what would be the justification, like what would be the legitimate justification for him approving this project. A lot of his voter base are very passionate about climate change, and so why would he, as someone who's going to have to fight for re-election in a year, why would he do that? If you try to look at it from a nuanced perspective, it is very interesting. On one hand, you have to try to keep the gas prices down. That's a big deal. That is, the climate is something that we can't see as Americans. What we see is the dollars in our bank account, and what we see is how much we have to pay every time we go get gas. Say hello to the camera. This is Winston. He wanted to say hello. He's a big fluffy boy. And so he caved to that aspect of it. And on one hand, I could try to understand that. But on the other hand, he had made commitments on the progress that we were going to make towards this net zero emissions goal that we have. Like they said, this is going to produce thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of CO2 into the air. And then right back on the other side again, this project, by approving it, it creates thousands of jobs inside of Alaska, and where Alaska specifically depends on the oil industry to fund most of their economy. It's how they stay running. This project produces stable jobs for years and years for these communities, and there's a lot of short-term positive aspects to the project. But again, there's the long-term effects of continuing to go down this path. And I'm a biased perspective because I don't live in Alaska, and I don't live in those communities. And so I don't mean to come off as insensitive for those people, but I really believe that if we would have taken a real stand towards renewable energy, funding renewable energy, I really think that would be more beneficial for the longevity of our civilization, not just the short-term few cents less at the pump kind of solution. It feels like a very hypocritical thing. And if you try to look at the situation as it was back in 2020 when this election cycle was rolling around, he was placing himself and marketing himself as this beacon of hope for America and as this leader for Gen Z, and how he would do all of these things for us and for the environment. It's hypocritical because it was the things that we criticize a lot of our presidents for, and specifically the Trump administration, was how reckless it was, and a lot of the lies that were told, and the things that said would happen but happened differently, and it didn't happen at all, and just how toxic it was. When you come off as a hypocrite on something, on an issue this big, it does not a good light, and it's not a good light for someone who's trying to run for re-election in 2024. So that's it. That's my spiel. I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. I'll catch you later. Thank you. Goodbye.